crash leads to an off-duty Milwaukee police officer killing a man in a shootout. News Chopper 12 giving us these exclusive images above the scene. The deadly confrontation happened just before 8:30 this morning, right near 49th and Mill Road. 12 News has live team coverage for you tonight, kicking things off with James Stratton.
Deanna, good evening. That police scene now clear almost a workday later. Police say that crash, altercation, and then shooting all happened right here near 48th and Mill Road. News Chopper 12 shows the aftermath of a violent Thursday morning near 48th and Mill Road. The police chief says an off-duty officer got into a minor crash with another driver. The two pulled over, and that's when Chief Jeffrey Norman says the driver pistol-whipped that off-duty officer and both exchanged gunfire. You can see a tarp covering a body in front of a black car and two sets of evidence markers on either side of that vehicle.
During the time when the officer who was off duty was assessing the situation, he was struck in the mouth, and that's when there had gunfire exchange between the two of them.
Family says the gunfire from the off-duty officer killed 26-year-old Elijah Wilkes. The officer has been identified as a 40-year-old, 21 years of experience, and is now on administrative duty. Sources say the officer worked at the nearby police training academy.
This was a moment where they were just looking at a minor vehicle accident. And this is a story that happens too often in our community here. How does a minor accident change into a deadly force situation? Unacceptable.
Norman says the officer fired his service weapon. You recovered a gun on scene?
There was a firearm recovered. There was a gun, yes.
Wilkes' friend told 12 News they are not aware of him having a gun. Chief Norman telling reporters there is video of the altercation. You mentioned video. The officer, I believe, was in plainclothes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
He didn't have a body camera on. What video do you have?
We have video.
Surveillance?
It'll be released according to the investigative procedures that we have there. But there is video, very clear video of this incident.
Late this afternoon, police detectives pulled a bullet from a nearby neighbor's wall.
And then all of a sudden, we noticed there was a hole in the wall. And then we looked out. Then we looked and noticed that the window frame was busted.
That neighbor, who did not want to be identified, says officers pulled a 10-millimeter bullet from the wall. MPD confirms today they do not have any 10-millimeter service weapons on staff.
It was definitely a momentary pause between one gunshot and the return gunshots.
So you believe there are two separate guns?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
James, we do know the officer was taken to the hospital. The police union says he has facial injuries. Did the chief say when police will be releasing that video?
We asked him, Deanna, if he release it sooner. It was rather tense out here this morning directly after that shooting happened. Asked if it would be released sooner because of the tense situations. He says it will be released per policy, which according to city policy is 15 days for the public to see it and 48 hours for the family.
And that countdown is on. James Stratton reporting live for us in Milwaukee.
Elijah had rear-ended the off-duty officer. And I'm going to show you the picture of this off-duty officer since they're hiding him. And this was actually at the scene. You see that fat, out of shape, round ball officer on the right. That is the officer who said that this young man got out of his car and just wantonly attacked him after a traffic stop. Now, you're going to hear the chief fail to say who fired first, but they're saying Elijah just walked up on this off-duty officer and started pistol whipping him after the accident. Then you're going to hear the chief say, well, there was some gunfire. And then the guy's going to ask him who fired first. And then he's going to say, well, he's going to be very vague with that description. But as you're going to hear the young lady say that she was on FaceTime with Elijah the whole while. And there was no direct contact between the two.
No, there's video of the incident. Chief Jeffrey Norman confirmed that. We don't know where it comes from.
I didn't find that, but I did talk to one man who says bullets hit his home.
Why did you kill him? Why did you shoot him?
Questions.
How does a minor accident change into a deadly force situation?
Remain unanswered Thursday night after Milwaukee police say an early morning fender bender involving one of their own ended in gunfire.
At approximately 8:25 a.m., an off-duty Milwaukee police officer was involved in a minor vehicle accident.
Police say an off-duty officer was headed to work when a 26-year-old man rear-ended his car on Mill Road near 49th. They say both men got out and things escalated.
That subject proceeded to strike the off-duty officer in the face with his firearm.
They say the men exchanged gunfire. Fox 6 spoke to one neighbor who didn't want to go on camera, but says he heard the shots and then discovered a bullet went through his home. Police say the 26-year-old was shot and died at the scene. Family identified him as Elijah Wilkes.
There is a lot of stuff going on in social media right now.
Some family and neighbors say police's description of what happened doesn't tell the full story.
Not the truth at all. It's not the truth at all.
Police say they have it all on camera.
There was shots exchanged between both parties. There is video, very clear video of this incident.
Now, the officer in this case is a 40-year-old man with over 21 years of service. He's now on administrative duty, which is standard. West Dallas Police Department is leading this investigation. Kim?
Steph, to follow that, we did ask Milwaukee police to release that video right away. They won't. The chief says they're going to follow their standard operating procedure. It says MPD will release video within 15 days of an officer-involved death. It could be before then. But first, the department policy means they'll invite the family of Elijah Wilkes to see it within 48 hours. Tonight, we are hearing from people who know him and from the president of the Milwaukee Police Association, who they say visited the injured officer.
I saw him personally. He has injuries to his face. There was blood in his face. So my officer did what he was trained to do. He defended himself and then stopped the threat.
They're not telling the truth. That story they posted is not the truth. Quiet, not the truth at all. It's not the truth at all. Nobody got pissed through it. Whatever injuries he had, whatever injuries that man had, it did not come from Elijah. They were already so many feet away from each other.
The police union says the officer is now out of the hospital. We asked both MPD and the union for a photo of the injuries. Neither shared one.
Any other bishops of Great Millstone, honors as well to you other elders, you brethren, you fellow believers of this truth. Shalom to you, few sisters. Shalom to the elect. So anyway, I got this video from this guy, Taylor House Publishing. Actually subscribed to him. Does pretty good videos on exposing how white media, Edomite media, hides truth. You don't see a lot of these videos on CNN, you know, Jake being lynched. That's not on CNN. That's not on the news. And then when it does, they'll say that the person hung himself and locked himself in a shed. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on with these Edomites. I just saw the video where the brothers posting that the Edomite ran up on the brother, you know, pulled out a gun. We was threatened with guns from Christians. So, you know, we see a time where things are moving, right? But make no mistakes, these elites, they know what's up. They know who's coming into power. And what they're doing is they're sending out these agents. You know, they have hatred for Jake. They need excuses to kill and blow Jake away because they know they're losing their power. They almost out of here, man. And that's why they're doing it. And they have their media to cover it up. And they'll get those little offshoot media personnel who don't understand what the hell going on or will take any story. But it's not publicized. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to read a few scriptures. This guy, I left a lot in there because this police chief, he knows in his heart that something is wrong. But, you know, that's why they hired him, to cover up things that are done wrong. He's the spokesman for the black community, right? This place says it's not about race. They get on Hebrew Israelites saying we all racial. But why did the white man set this black police commissioner up, whoever he is? They set him up as a front. And when you look at the video, if I can catch the back of it, the video, let me see if I can find it. This is what I noticed when a police chief, every time you see one of these police chiefs, there you go, right there. Look at this white guy sitting right there with the sunshades. Like, he's the pit bull on a leash. You can see that. Anyway, this guy got judged, though. Judgment must begin at the house of Israel, right? You know, for wickedness. But I personally don't think if someone rear ends somebody, we don't never see this in any community. And we always know how so-called Jake is on Jake. You know, I don't see a rear end happening and the man gets out. You know what happened. That white Edomite cop got out and ran his mouth and started cursing him out. You know, he needed a reason to shoot him. Right? Let's go to, let me go to Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. The reason why I pulled that out, because anything like this can happen to any one of us, right? And the first thing you do when it gets to that point and he's yelling and cursing, he's an off-duty cop, you know, call the police, call another police. You know what I'm saying? You need the witnesses, get people around to record. And this woman, she said what she said, and they didn't let her speak very much. All they let her quote is, that ain't what happened. But the whole time she was FaceTime living with the Jake. And he, you know, that never happened. So where did they get the gun to shoot into into that wall? You know, them cops, you know, they keep a spare gun just in case they need to cover things up. They show you in the movies. That cop probably shot a gun into the wall, you know, gave it to him and put it on him. They got a code of blue honor. You know what I'm saying? They know exactly what to do. And why does it take 15 days to reveal a tape, 48 hours for the family? And now with AI and everything out there, you could change anything, right? It's crazy, you know? Let's go to Romans 13. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God, the powers that are be ordained by God. Whosoever therefore resisteth that power, resisteth the ordinance of God. And I believe that's why this man got put to death, you know? I know it was hard, but he rear-ended, you know, you rear-ended a cop, and I'm sure he said he was a police officer, and it escalated. You know, Jake already mad at Esau any damn way, and each other. So it probably got out of control, and an argument took place. You know, I really doubt if this Jake, you know, had a gun and then got out from a rear-end accident and went to charge him and hit the man in the face. And they say they saw the injuries, but, you know, as I think the brother put in, I don't know if I put it in, there was no injuries on his face. So they probably had one of the cops punch him or scratch him or something like that, just so he could say this is what happened to him. You know, I used to live in that life in the streets, and I've been set up by police. I don't trust any of them. I mean, I remember they set me up with a stolen car, and I actually did steal it, which was wrong. But they set me up and got identification plates and all this stuff, and, you know, the serial numbers. And because I'd raced everything, you couldn't find that. I was pretty good with that. But somebody snitched on me, and they couldn't find it. So we go to court, and all of a sudden they find it. And I'm like, where did they get that from? Because I tossed that in a dumpster, right? But they came up with the same plate, the same, as if it was there. They didn't even know. They couldn't even figure it out, but they made it up. I also witnessed these cops put drugs on other people, on Jake. I looked out my window and saw that. I didn't have back then we didn't have cell phone cameras. It's at night. I watched them go to the guy's car, and they wanted him. They must have sold drugs, but they couldn't catch him. But they went back to their car, got a package, and I saw a white package they got out of the trunk, and they implanted it on the other guy's car. I actually witnessed that. You know what I'm saying? And they're not going to take my word for it, because I was doing the same thing, you know, in that life, you know. So I've never trusted cops. And then when they take you into interrogation rooms, one thing you got to understand, if they already know, they wouldn't have you in there. They just want a confession. They don't have full proof. They just need proof. And then they'll lie to you. They'll give you a cup of water, juice, whatever you want, make you feel comfortable. They use these psychological tactics. And even if they believe you're, even if they know you're wrong, even if you know you're right, they will try to twist the situation to make them seem like they're right. And this is why over several times there's been people who was in these investigative rooms and said they did things that they never did, because they twist you. It's a mind-bending operation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying some cops ain't out trying to do their jobs. You know, I know some, you know, where, I go to the gym. There's a couple jakes in there that's cops. But you always got the bad apples, you know what I'm saying? I don't trust them. Especially them Edomites, you know? They're the worst. And I'm old enough to remember they used to call me the N-word and all kinds of shit, man. You know, some of you may have went through it. I'm not sure. But, you know, some of us who are old enough to remember back in the 80s and 70s, 80s, and 90s, some brothers might even remember the 90s, right? Being adults. We seen this stuff. We I've been locked up and they called us all kind of monkeys and animals and the N-word and black this and black scoundrels. And then you always had the so-called black the black police with them. That's crazy, man. Let's get this scripture real quick. Let me go to Psalms 38:12 in the NIV. Those who want to kill me set their traps, right? See, this brother, this Jake, well, he's an Israelite now. He knows he won. If he knew he was an Israelite, he would be aware, right? Those who want to kill me set their traps. Those who would harm me talk of my ruin all day long, that scheme and lie. Now, the main reason why I'm doing this video, because when you go back into history of any organization that the white man don't like, he always set schemes and traps. You know, that's in every organization. So now they're making up this thing that the Boston market, where it was a hate crime and it was the black Hebrew Israelites. Come to find out it wasn't, but the media never put it back out there that it wasn't. Yeah, so they just start labeling things off of what one person do. Now, as far as Christianity, okay, this Charles Kirk or whatever his name is, who had nothing but evil words to say about so-called black people, who was a Christian nationalist, a Klansman, nobody blamed all Christianity for that, right? When Dylan Ruth went and shot up the church under the Klan authority, so to speak, that's alleged. Nobody blamed all Christianity for that. But if a so-called black man, a Hebrew Israelite, kill anybody, they're going to blame all Hebrew Israelites. Although Christians are committing suicide, they're killing their families, they're committing adultery, but nobody blames all Christianity for that, right? And I guarantee this fat white cop probably calls himself a Christian, right? So these Edomites are growing balls now because they know who they have in office to protect them. You know what I'm saying? Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy, for it's like iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And by no iron, it rust, it just spreads. They set up traps. I mean, you could try to block it off, but if you don't cut all the rust out, it's coming back with a vengeance, like a cancer. Proverbs 4:14, enter not into the path of the wicked, right? And go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause something to fall. You know, a lot of Jake, and especially these young Jakes, they don't know how to handle confrontation. They don't have any kind of training and understanding what to do in particular situations. Now, these Edomites, they train to kill, and they're using a badge of deception, right, to kill. And they know they have the opportunity to kill and will get away with it. You see what I'm saying? That's what they're using it for. They wake up in the morning. Let's keep reading. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, high level of evil. See, they just like on the levels of them grimy jakes, right? That's why 2/3 and Esau, that's why they need set for destruction, man. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall, right? These wretched cops, right? They can't wait. They're waiting. I mean, that rear end situation, you know, who knows how it went. God was probably tailgating them. You know, these jakes. And he ran into them and they got into an altercation. And you know, Edomites are scared, man. They can't fight. I used to live in a group home, man. We used to tear their asses up, man. We used to kick their asses. You know, it might have been some who could fight, you know, who might have been Jake. But for the most part, Esau can't fight, right? Now, some are I'm not going to say all of them because some are trained, and that's why they get into that training. You know, if you take Jake and Esau who are not trained, same situation with health and everything else, Jake going to win 98% of the time. So these Edomites are scared. He knew he couldn't beat that Jake. So he said, shit, I'm pulling a gun. Right. Let me go here. Let me go back here. Yeah, they don't sleep until they cause something to fall. It says here, meanwhile, my enemies lay traps to kill me. Those who wish me harm make plans to ruin me. All day long, they plan their treachery. And that's really going, right now, and it's going to the elites, you know. Why they got all this anti-Sem stuff going on? Why they have this threat against so-called black Hebrew Israelites? What is the problem with that? What's up with that? Because they understood and they know that when we start waking up, the jig is up, right? And they know we calling on our Lord. And that, you know, they know a lot of the, you know, simple-minded people in this society, they don't know what the hell going on. They know. So really, this is anger for Hebrew Israelites going out on the hedges, waking up the elect. And anybody who's not awoke is open season, and the Lord is allowing it. You know what I'm saying? But I believe that's what this whole thing is, where these Edomites and these Christians are running up on us. We had God threatened to pull a gun on us. We snatched the bag from him, you know, folded his ass up, you know, with the name of Jesus on his shirt. So, you know, I'm taking this because now we have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. You know, we don't, you know, right now I also notice that everybody's unreasonable. You can say, hey, I'm sorry, man, it's not this and not that. They're going to keep going. These people are so-called crashing out, as they say. So you got to know how to be evasive to that. You know, I'm still learning. Anyway, that's all I have on that. Shalom.